And
also, Metal, we're on the wrong Fuji stuff.
Who's on the... Oh, yeah, I'm still on my other character, aren't I? Whoopsie! Well, this is a great start to the stream, so hello and welcome, whilst I just change my character. Welcome to the Dice and Destiny Fireside Chat, of which... Now I should have the correct character up and running. We are live. In the background, as I am talking, you might hear my cat, Pixie, meowing because she has a catnip
carrot.
Yes, a catnip carrot. And she thinks she's caught something big for us, bless her soul. So, gotta love cats. They will, well, any animal on any live stream will have a habit of ruining it. Yay! But we have our viewers in the chat already, so do feel free to say hello and ask us questions as the show goes on. But we have some announcements to make. First announcement that I have to make is we actually have Blue Sky account now. And if you want the handle for our Blue Sky, you're going to have to bear with me a minute because I did not prepare the address, but I believe it's at dndgames.bsky.social. So yes, we have Blue Sky, so feel free to follow us on there. Don't forget to use the link that you can see live on the Twitch stream to join our Discord community, where within the chat you can ask us questions and watch the game as we play live in Discord. Or, alternatively, you can ask your questions here on the stream chat as well. So, without further ado, let me introduce our guests for tonight's Fireside Chat, starting with Jamie.
Hello.
Jamie is one of our players who plays a character called Aspen. And would you care to go into a little bit of detail about Aspen? Who she is, what she does?
Yeah, Aspen is she's a barbarian. She's not the brightest. she doesn't like bugs very much either.
Fair enough.
That's Aspen.
Well, we will go into a question regarding that a little bit later. But second on tonight's Fireside Chat is Chris. Would you like to introduce yourself and your character?
Hello, I'm Tom. I play Chris, who is a farmer who is now going to be a druid, who is pretty stubborn and headstrong, a bit dim, but is just here for the ride.
Sounds interesting. And finally, on tonight's Fireside Chats, we have Jude. Would you like to introduce your character and yourself?
I'm Jude. I'm playing Jess in her normal world. She is a trainee clinical psychologist, but in Albion, she's going to be basically a rogue. She's very kind of realistic. She doesn't kind of, well, she's starting to believe, this is actually real, but she's kind of logical and quite, calculating as well. Not calculating, calculated and factual.
Awesome. So that's who we have lined up on tonight's show. As per usual, I have my questions that I'm going to be asking them. They may have some questions for me throughout the course of the show as well. And for those that are in the audience, if you have questions for me about the show or about the players, feel free to ask. So, starting with Chris, I think.
Yes.
If you were stuck in these are just general light-hearted questions. Don't take these ones seriously to begin with. But if you were stuck in a real isekai, which character trope do you think you would feel? The overpowered hero, reluctant leader.
If I was thrown into an isekai, I feel like I would end up filling the bumbling sidekick. Because I feel I just I don't know. I would be like the bumbling sidekick who knows far too much, far too quickly. Because I'm just like I'm very quick to sort out like puzzles and issues and stuff, but like you won't catch me being able to win any kind of fight or anything.
Fair enough. Jess, we all know. Sorry, Jude. We all know that Jess loves tea. Does that translate to you as a person as well?
Absolutely, yes. I'm ashamed to say how much tea I at one point had in the kitchen until they kind of ran out, and I still need to get more. I'm not going to, obviously, we're not sponsored, so I can't name names, but there's a really good tea shop in Guildford, and I go in all the time and get lots of quirky teas and things. And yeah, I love my tea. My favourite at the moment, wow, they've stopped doing it. But there was one that was a chocolate Earl Grey, and I went in the other day and they were like, "Oh, it was only for a limited time. We may bring it back in the spring." And I'm like, "No, I can't wait that long."
Fair enough.
So yes.
And Jamie, within
Yes.
the campaign in the last session, a certain rather tall, graceful elf called you observant. Does that translate to you as a person, or?
No, I'm an idiot. I don't read signals or anything very well, so things go over my head unless someone tells me directly. So absolutely not.
Fair enough. Well, getting on to the campaign, what I would like to ask is first to Aspen. So Elijah called your character observant.
Mhm.
How accurate was that observation from Elijah? And if you don't feel that that observation was accurate, then who in the party do you think is and or isn't observant at all?
I think that's pretty accurate. I think Aspen probably she doesn't talk a whole lot. She kind of takes the back seat to take in all the information that she can before speaking, so that she's not jumping to conclusions or anything. So I guess observe it in that way. Like she's probably not going to figure out little nuances and stuff, but she can collect the information that's in front of her, I guess. So the information that's given to her, she's good at sorting that and piecing it together.
Cool. So let's answer the second part of that question then. Who isn't observant, in your opinion, in the party?
Oh no. I don't know if anyone's not observant. Everyone seems to have some sort of grasp at the moment. Maybe with the whole cooking debacle. Oh my god, I can't remember his name. Steve.
Steve.
Steve, I think, maybe jumps to conclusions a little bit quickly. So maybe not necessarily not observant, but maybe he takes the first piece of information and runs with it a little bit.
Fair. Chris. Well, Tom. Chris, your character in session 1, if you can cast your mind back that far, he was they were the DM of the Dice and Destiny game before the shift occurred. How does it feel to now? How does your character now feel to be inside a world that seems to echo with your own creation?
Well, when they finally actually realize that it's kind of like a reflection of what they've already written, because they just haven't really processed that yet, they would kind of, I don't know, they would feel excited, and they would feel like probably frustrated at some points, because if they notice something, they would just be like, that's not how I would do it, even though it's literally like some of their own stuff that they definitely have done and have played out before. But it would be like a mixture of excitement, frustration, and like just kind of a wonder that like it's all actually happening.
Fair enough. And last but not least on the quick intro questions, shall we say, is to Jude or Jess. I have to ask, in the last session, you decided that in order to assist with the defeat of those wasps from your original camping kit that you dragged into this strange new world, you decided to turn on the Bluetooth speaker and play some Lorna Shore as loud as you could, which, credit where credit's due, A, took me by surprise, but B, also it successfully intimidated the wasps and sent them running. Well, flying. What made you decide, or what led to that decision?
I think I've put a lot of myself into Jess, and I remember from when I was younger how people would react to metal. So I think in my wisdom I thought, I've got no weapons, I've got no magic, what can I do? What would Jess do? So I remembered that because I've got the glamping kit, I had the Bluetooth speaker, and obviously like the streaming apps downloaded onto my phone so I can have it offline. So I figured, why not try and do that instead and see if it works on scaring wasps? It was just a wild card idea I had, and it worked. So, I'm not complaining.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, that took me by surprise as GM as well. And I'm actually really glad that it worked all the way as well as it did. So, nice moves.
Bit of a luck on a dice roll as well on the intimidation. So, that too.
Yeah. That definitely helped. So, I have to ask you this, Chris. So, in the last session, there were 3 giant wasps, which were the size of dogs. But it was also commented at one point that you do enjoy snacks, or your character enjoys snacks. So, what's worse, running out of snacks, or giant wasps the size of dogs?
Honestly, running out of snacks, I fear.
So that's why your character went fleeing. What led up to the decision of your character running away from these giant wasps?
Chris, it was kind of like a mix of just like, oh, there are things chasing us, and Chris can deal with a lot, but typically, like they live on a farm. They've dealt with kind of stuff like foxes or anything that are getting onto the farm. But flying things are a bit different, and they kind of freak them out a little bit. And just bugs in general kind of freak them out a little bit.
Fair enough.
So they were just a bit freaked out. And just kept running. Honestly, and it was also the fact that they just had no weapons. They just didn't have anything. They were just kind of panicking at that point.
So it was pure panic in your character then?
Yeah.
Fair enough. It makes sense though. I mean, you've been thrown into a strange world. Not really much of an idea of what's going on at the moment, but I'm curious. And the thing I'm curious about is what for your character was or would be the turning point of realization. I mean, for Jess as a character in the game, there was the realization that actually this might not be the mushrooms or a hallucination, and that theory is kind of wrong. So I'm going to throw this out to all of you. It's like, has there been a point for your character where it's sort of pennies dropped that, hang on, we are alive and real in this world, or is that realization still to come for your characters?
I think the lack of GPS and the stars being different for Jess. But I don't know. Maybe I think deep down she realizes she's not in the real world anymore. She's somewhere else. But I think surface level, she still kind of has the doubts that, you know what, this could all be a hallucination. But you know what, we'll see where it all goes. Ride it through to the end. But I think she's slowly deep down starting to realize, like meeting these characters that we've met so far that are completely independent, coherent, and yeah, the giant wasps as well.
Yeah. I think for Chris, it hasn't quite dropped yet. Because Chris didn't see Steve do any kind of magic and stuff.
No, Chris was too busy running away.
Chris was too busy running away. Chris, basically, they haven't seen any kind of magic stuff yet, and they kind of like I said, they're quite stubborn. And so they're just like, I think I don't believe that it's possible for us to be like a whole different world at this point. So I'm gonna stick with time travel.
Yep.
And they'll run with that until it becomes very glaringly obvious.
And Jamie?
Yeah, I think Aspen's probably somewhere in the same boat. I think we came across the elf and Aspen was still just like, oh, okay, sick. What a good costume. Like, what really good prosthetic ears or something. Yeah, I think she probably, again, there probably is that little thing deep down that's like, this is definitely something weird. But yeah, I think she probably doesn't want to believe it yet, doesn't realise how it could be possible. So she's just ignoring that little niggle that's sort of sat there that's like, yeah, this is what this is. And she's like, no, nothing's different. It's a hallucination or something's weird, but it's not a whole new world that we've been thrown into.
Fair enough. So one thing that the elf did mention, Elijah, was that this is a new world, and he even dropped the name of the world to you all. The world's name, for the record, is Albion, which, if you've watched the stream, you'll know what its origins are, potentially. If not, then for those that are watching now, Albion is Old English for Britannia. So, a little bit of context there as to perhaps what might be coming up. Who knows? But the elf did definitely drop the world's name, Albion, within his speech and as he was talking to you all. But none of your characters seem to pick up on it. Has anyone got any comments on that?
I wanted to scream, but Chris would not know anything about it. But I wanted to scream because I'm a big Merlin fan. I'm a big just Arthurian legend in general fan, and Albion is what they call Britain in that kind of era. So I was very excited. I was very just like but Chris wouldn't know.
That must be quite frustrating.
Yeah.
Oh dear. So just from that alone, as players, not as your characters, where do you think this adventure might be turning, or how do you think this might develop in the future? Just some random speculation here.
I don't know. What stuck out for me was Elijah saying that we're the second group of people in 100 years that have been like taken from our world to the current world of Albion. That kind of got me, in the fact that Steve got the elf to speak Elvish, and both him and me kind of understood it. I think, possibly, hopefully find it, because he said that the last party that were kind of taken from our worlds was still alive after so much time and are in, I think, in Ironstead.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was, yeah. So maybe meeting up with them, finding what's going on. And, if the same thing happened, obviously, to them. But I think, in my mind, I'm just kind of like 100 years, but D&D's only been around since the 70s. And we're now in the 2020s. We're 2020s. So, yeah, so that'll be interesting how the time difference kind of works between our world and their world. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be fun finding out, though.
Any thoughts, Jamie?
I think probably, yeah, same sort of sentiment. I want to find the people who were here before or who did the same thing that we did and see what their experience was. And figure out what's going on.
Interesting. Well, you never know. You might get a chance to meet them soon. You might. Depends what route you take. Who knows? But let's go with some fun choices through the course of the game. So, Chris,
Yeah.
your Dice and Destiny handbook and Dungeon Master's Guide, as it were, they have now become tomes. Almost factual based tomes on the rules or spells within this world. How has Chris reacted, and how does Chris feel that about all of this, that his books are no longer just rule books, but hang on a minute. How does Chris feel, and how do you feel about this?
Chris feels like someone has desecrated their property, and is a bit upset about it. I think it's very, very cool. I think that as soon as Chris kind of realizes what the new information in them is, that they'll be able to kind of be quite a good person to dish out information. But again, it's just Chris is very much just in the processing stage, and it's just like, My books.
Quite precious about your books, then.
Yes, very much so.
Fair enough. So, within the starter kit, another light-hearted one, but this one for you, Jude and Jess, essentially. In your new starter kit, some of the items that you got were the Bluetooth speaker, the portable solar charger. Obviously, you've all got your mobile phones, but if you had to create an Isekai starter pack for yourself, in fact, maybe we'll throw this out to everyone so that you can all discuss what you would want in it. But if you had to create the Isekai starter pack for yourselves, what would you want in your starter kit?
Oh my goodness, that's a really difficult question. Tea, obviously. UHT milk in case I can't get milk anywhere else. Sugar for the tea. A sketchbook, some pencils. A cuddly toy who's now over 30 years old called Jeffrey Tiger.
A little bit of you bleeding in there.
Yeah. Oh no, I thought you were asking me as Jude what I'd want.
Well, both, but yes.
Oh, okay. That would be probably me as Jude of what I'd want. I think Jess tea again, tea, UHT milk. I think she's pretty much got everything she needs in the glamping kit. In all honesty, but yeah, me as Jude definitely all of those kind of things. Tea and that sketchbook. Yeah.
Cool.
Kindle. Sorry, can't say that name, but e-reader.
Yeah, fair. Jamie?
I feel like I would be quite prepared. I wouldn't be, but I feel like I would be because I read quite a few isekai type books anyway. I'm currently reading a series that's sort of isekai, but not really. It's like reincarnation into like back into his. So the guy dies and he gets like reincarnated as his younger self, and then he relives
I know
his
what
life.
that book is, and I love that book, and I'm on volume. I won't give you any spoilers though because I've got the last 2 volumes to read, so it's amazing.
Oh my god. But yeah, anyway, I feel like I'd be prepared, but I definitely wouldn't. But yeah, I would go along the lines of if it's just me going somewhere else, I would absolutely want my e-reader.
Seems to be a
what do I want?
theme emerging here.
I think we're all book
The
nerds.
reading goal. I'm almost at my reading goal. I can't slack now. Oh god, what else would I want? I would bring matcha, I think. I can't live without that at the moment. So matcha.
I'd add that to my list as well, actually.
We'll just all have the same list.
Yeah.
Chris?
Oh, no, nice
sorry,
blanket as well.
Blanket, yes, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I would probably bring my sketchbook, my probably an instrument, make some coin if I can. Probably at least some hopefully have some food with me. And honestly, I would bring just basic. Honestly, I would probably bring like a camping kit. Because I know how to camp. I know I'm a scout. I grew up in scouts. I know how to do things. But I would bring like what I would bring on like a camp, so I know I would be like safe and I could stay alive.
I think a foraging book would be handy as well.
Yeah.
To be fair, can't trust Chris with his mushrooms, man.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're isekai, then what if they're completely different plants?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'd hope, but with the most isekais, aren't people normally like put into another body? It's like someone completely different.
Yeah.
So I'd hope they would have the survival skills I'd need
fair. I mean, for me personally, I'm probably going to be looking at making sure I've got a nice warm blanket, a trained pet cat who can be walked on a lead, and I would have to say it'd have to be a solar charger and a mobile phone loaded with some of my favourite replayable games.
What? No coffee?
I'll probably be able to get tea or coffee when I'm there because I'm not fussy about which one I drink. So,
But what
fair
if
enough.
it's all decaf?
Yeah. What if it's decaf? That's a really good question. What if it's decaf?
Then my body would get used to not having caffeine.
I'll remember that.
I will have to force myself on that one, I'm afraid. Oh dear. Uh, uh, yes. Well, moving on from that. Any questions that you, as players, have for me as the GM? No spoilers.
Why giant wasps? Of all things, considering you're terrified of wasps.
Yes, I am absolutely terrified of wasps. You're not wrong. In fact, to be fair, one of my biggest fears is most flying buzzy things that sort of fly towards me, regardless of whether it's harmless or not. So, why the giant wasps? Long story short, it's fun. They're fun to play, and if I could land a hit on any of you, it would have been interesting to see how your characters reacted to being paralyzed, because that's what the giant wasp stinger would have been able to have done. However, you managed to avoid all of that with a fantastic ice knife, which I will, for the players that actually saw it happen, sorry, Chris. How did that seeing of magic for the first time feel or make your characters feel?
I honestly don't think Jess saw it. She was too busy trying to hide and set up the Bluetooth speaker. Hide unsuccessfully in a bush, to be fair, so she wasn't very well hidden.
Jamie? Your character
Um,
definitely saw it.
Yeah, I think she saw it. I'm not sure if she 100% registered it. I feel like, yeah, she would have 100% seen it, but wouldn't have immediately gone, "Oh my god, it's magic." I I don't know what she would have thought, but I don't think she'd have jumped to that. I think she'd have just been like, "Okay, that's weird," but weird stuff's happening all day, so I guess that's like normal right now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And on that note, talking of the giant wasps and ice knives, what on earth enticed your character to charge up to one of the giant wasps, barefisted, to try and swat it, as you put?
I think she was probably the bug catcher in her house. So I think that's kind of just instinct, is just to be like, there's a bug, I need to get it. I realise that makes her sound like a feral cat or something, but I don't really know.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong
Absolutely
with
nothing wrong with that.
that. Oh dear. Well, would that. Uh, oh dear. Sorry, that feral cat comment's just caught me. I'm sorry.
That's how we break the DM. Feral cat comments.
Yes. Write that down.
Oh no. That's definitely not good. So, okay, coming back to the actual session. If we go back to session 1, now you weren't on the last Fireside chat, so I never actually got a chance to ask you some of the questions. But one of the questions I asked the others that were there was, with the way that the game was playing out and the coincidences that were occurring at perfectly timed moments, how did that make all of your characters feel? In particular, Chris, our in-game DM.
Well, Chris was kind of was getting a bit weirded out by it, but was kind of they were kind of into it because again it was very immersive, it was very cool, but again they were just like, it's not meant to happen. I don't want this to be unsafe for everyone. But like they, as much as it was immersive, they also kind of they probably subconsciously linked it to what was happening in their game, but also they were far too in their game to kind of
Realize.
get that it was like fully mirroring what was happening. But they were just like, I don't want this area to be unsafe. It's not meant to be like this. You know?
Yeah. No, and that's for a DM or GM in however you wish to say it. That's actually quite a good quality to have, like the safety of your players and what have you. So I can respect that as a GM myself for you lot. Having safety in mind is something that is key. Making sure that none of you get too freaked out or whatever the cause of your any panic attacks or anxiety attacks may be, making sure to avoid subjects, etc., etc. So from that standpoint, I can understand how Chris, your character Chris, would feel to an extent. Jamie, Jude.
I think because Jess is so logical in things, she would have thought the earthquake, like the trees falling in the earthquake, were kind of related. Jess is well educated, and she like, reads a lot, studies a lot. So she knows there's earthquakes in the UK, in particular that kind of area because of old fault lines and everything else. So she wouldn't have thought anything of it, thought as a coincidence, and then probably thought the kind of floating D20 was some really kind of cool thing that Chris had cooked up. So she would have gone kind of logical until kind of obviously she was then dragged into that kind of the other world, and then obviously she kind of, because she's so logical, she assumed that it was the mushrooms. She was hallucinating that that Steve had foraged some mushrooms that were really dodgy, and it was some kind of shared hallucination, which is why she kind of panicked. And then when Steve was so insistent it wasn't the mushrooms and he'd learned everything, like read loads of books on foraging, it then went to, well, she's been under a lot of stress at work. It must be something to do with the stress at work. Finally, now she's had some downtime, kind of, giving her these kind of some form of kind of psychosis or something like that, which is why obviously she was like, okay, I'm hallucinating. I can visual hallucinations. This must be stress if it's not the mushrooms. And kind of was trying to work through that logically, I would say.
Interesting. And what were your thoughts on the goings on, Jamie, and Jamie's character, Aspen?
I think it was probably more like, oh, how weird and coincidental that this is happening while we're doing this, like, really intense moment. and now suddenly there's stuff happening all around us. Wow, this is such a weird coincidence. I don't think she would have tied it to anything. Obviously, then once everyone else started talking about mushrooms, then she was probably a little bit like, "Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. That could fit into it."
Yeah,
But
and
yeah, I don't.
I think the tree thing as well. The tree could have been related to the earthquake.
Yeah, I think everything kind of lined up a little bit too well. It didn't really seem like it was someone else meddling in anything. It almost seemed like it made sense, in a weird way.
Or coincidences until it wasn't a coincidence.
Yeah.
Fair enough. What about the Obsidian D20? Any thoughts on what that may be? General speculation here.
Not a clue.
Nope, no idea. No clue. Portal, maybe? Because that was just before we were like Isekai away, wasn't it? The Obsidian D20.
It actually appeared twice, but yes.
Yeah. No idea. It was cool though.
Fair enough. Well, with that, I have just a couple of quick. Well, I say quick, but here's a good one for you, Jess. Actually, as someone trained in psychology, how do you balance being the calm, analytical voice whilst also being visibly anxious when strangers are approaching?
Oh, that's a really, really hard question to answer. I think it was only because it was in the other world, and so obviously she was still in that mindset of it's still a hallucination, which would obviously cause anyone anxiety. So I think because she was in that mindset of something's going on, I'm unwell, I'm hallucinating, not knowing what to expect and where this was going, and obviously in the real world, knowing that her clients, hearing of their kind of episodes of psychosis and hallucinations and things. So I think she would have kind of been like trying to again rationalize of, okay, this could get scary anytime right now. So, I don't know. That's the answer.
Fair enough. Jamie, as
Yes.
Aspen was a sort of security guard, as it were, when you were going through the tunnel with the light at the end of it, and your task was to essentially help carry that rather large, heavy stone pillar, as it were, on your shoulders. How did that make you and or your character feel as you were going through that? What do you think it might symbolize?
Ooh. I feel like she was probably quite confused because this just come out of nowhere. But she was working in a team, I guess. So I think maybe it was something to do with support or like teamwork, helping out, stuff like that, maybe. But that's all I've got at the moment.
Well, partway through that, the pillar started to get heavier and heavier on your shoulders. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, I guess it's like bearing a burden almost is like if you don't like share the load, it gets heavier. But Yeah, I don't have much on that. I'm curious about it, but it's probably about where I am at the moment.
Fair enough. And Jess, what in your tunnel journey did you find or feel most?
Whisper's asking me if I could keep secrets. Still trying to get my head around that. Maybe to do with the sneakiness you need to be a rogue. Don't know. I'll be fun finding out though.
Yep.
I don't think she really took it in, to be fair, because at that point in time, she still thought, she was unwell, hallucinating on some kind of trip from the mushrooms. So I don't really think she absorbed it all that much.
Well, I think it's fair to say that from everything that we've discussed and the 2 sessions that we've had so far, I know I'm enjoying this campaign, and I believe that all of you are. I assume.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Dom.
No, I hate it. No, I'm
Oh,
having
dear.
a lot of fun.
No, this is the nicest group of players I've ever played with. So I'm really having fun. So thank you all.
Cool. Well, we'll see where this adventure takes you. But you've all just met a tailor called Elizabeth, and you are about to head in towards Ironstead in the next session. What do you all think you're going to find? What sort of town do you feel Ironstead is so far?
I ain't gonna say anything.
Maybe a small city. I don't know. It sounds kind of like Ironstead. It sounds like it's like some kind of fortified city with walls, like medieval city, like kind of like York, or something like that. I don't know. Taverns, maybe. Like I'm just like literally thinking of kind of all the old kind of I like the D&D movie. Like the walled city and things. Maybe like literally, you're definitely not in the real world now.
And Jamie, what do you
Yeah.
think or expect to find in Ironstead?
I'd go with like a blacksmithing village almost, where everyone's kind of. I don't, I don't want to sound mean, but everyone's a little bit rough and tumble, I guess. I don't feel like it would be super prim and proper. I feel like it's going to be a little bit kind of ragtag, I guess.
And Tom, I know you've said you're not going to comment because I know you know what Ironstead is in its current state from the previous campaign that we've played. But if there was any lore drop of Ironstead that you could give, and it's not going to spoil too much, what would that lore drop on Ironstead be?
There's quite a lot of. I don't know. There's a balance of different sectors, which all are very interesting in their own right.
I think that is the best way of possibly putting it at this stage.
My question is, can we get weapons? I feel quite defenseless at the moment.
You almost certainly can. It's not a small town, let's put it that way. Well, with that, I think we are going to say thank you to the characters, Chris, Jess, and Aspen, or the players themselves, Tom, Jude, and Jamie, for joining us on tonight's Fireside chat, where we've covered giant wasps, deathcore intimidation with Lorna Shaw, mysterious tomes, and a few other things in between. So I will say thank you to everyone that is watching live. And for those that aren't watching live, thank you for watching the video on YouTube or listening to us on Spotify. This will be going live on Wednesday on all of our channels. And next Friday, we will be live here and in our D&D Discord channel for our live game that will start roughly the same time, about 8ish. So we look forward to seeing you at the table for our next adventure. And with that, it's goodbye from me. Au revoir. And it's goodbye from the players.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Wait for it. Tom doesn't want to say goodbye.
What? I said goodbye. I said goodbye.
There we go.
There you go.
So it's goodbye from all of us. We wish you a wonderful weekend and a wonderful week ahead. And we look forward to seeing you all on Friday. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.